But yeah, and the other argument is, oh yeah, you're doing okay now, but once you go back to eating normally, then you're going to have problems again. And it's like, yeah, but that's why I'm not going to go back there. You know, like if you broke your leg getting hit by a car because you were standing in the highway, you know, no one's going to say to you, yeah, well, your leg's fixed now, but next time you go in the middle of the highway, it's going to happen again. It's like, yeah, well, I learnt my lesson the first time.
Welcome to Meat Matters with Jenny Mitich, your go-to podcast for everything related to animal-based lifestyles and optimizing your metabolic health. Today, I'm chatting with Dave Mac, long-term carnivore and content creator. His channel, My No Carb Life, has over 91,000 subscribers and features interviews and stories from people that have found success improving their metabolic health using carnivore, keto, and intermittent fasting. If you enjoy this podcast, be sure to hit that subscribe button. By simply subscribing, we can get this important information out to more and more people. And if you'd like to take your support a bit further, please consider leaving a 5-star rating on whatever app you're listening on. The more positive ratings we have, the more this podcast will be pushed out to the people that need to hear it. And with that, let's dive into this interview with Dave Mac. Dave Mac, thanks for joining me today.
It's a pleasure to be here, Jenny. Thanks for having me on.
So you've been on carnivore for 2.5 years now?
Yeah, 2.5 years. Coming up on 3 years now. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So what made you start carnivore in the first place, and why have you continued on it long term?
So I fell into it, actually. I was in a bit of a hole. I had to deal with two problems at once. I was told I had pre-diabetes, and I was told I was an alcoholic, although, spoiler alert, I knew that one. But getting that information from a doctor was kind of very confronting for me. And the fact that he wanted to put me on medication for it was even more kind of confronting, because I've never been someone who likes taking meds. So I needed to deal with these two problems, and I didn't know what to do. But one thing that came to my mind was maybe I could start a low carb or a keto style diet, because having done it on and off over 20 years previously, I knew that it gave me a lot of self-control. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm going to jump on keto. So I jumped on keto, and that was enough to help me keep the sugar away and get off the alcohol. What the problem that did happen, though, is I started having some bathroom problems. And it was, I narrowed it down through, watching some videos on YouTube and doing a little bit of internet sleuthing, that it was actually veggies that were causing it. So I was having some, low starchy veggies, with each meal on my keto diet. And I was thinking, okay, well, this is really good. I'm eating the vitamin C that everyone tells me I need, you know, and this is probably the one time in my life that I've been doing this. So, you know, I'm doing really well. But after watching some videos, I realized the veggies I was eating were particularly irritating to my gastrointestinal system. So I decided, all right, I'll cut these veggies out and see how I go, because it seems like a lot of these people online are doing this meat only thing. I may as well try it. I'm not tied to the veggies. I'm not eating them because I enjoy them. I'm eating them because, you know, I have to, vitamin C and all that kind of thing. So I cut them out, and the bathroom issues stopped, and the rest is history.
Wow, that's crazy. Did you have like specific vegetables that were giving you a hard time?
Yeah, because I was focused on the vitamin C thing, I was thinking, what can I eat that's going to give me the most power for the amount that I'm eating? So I was eating like red peppers and yellow peppers and things like that, and some spinach and bok choy as well. But the peppers, I think, were the things that were really causing the problem. And so, yeah, probably the spinach was going to be causing other problems in the future with oxalates and stuff. But yeah, the lectins and that kind of thing in the peppers were the issue, I think.
It's amazing. And you said you felt better pretty quickly. Like, was it days, a week, instantaneous?
It was like, yeah, it just stopped. Yeah. And that might also be because my diet beforehand, despite having been on and off keto over 20 years, my diet beforehand was basically 100% ultra processed. Yeah. And so like I hadn't had a long time to build up this problem with, a long-term issue with the vegetables. So yeah, it was just like took them out, problem stopped.
That's so interesting. If you were coming from eating a lot of ultra processed foods and then you go to what you think is healthy with meat and vegetables, and then you're like, oh man, I still feel like crap, That's insane, because most people, have incorporated, well, I don't want to say most, but some people have incorporated some vegetables already and they don't realize it's the issue. For you, you realize pretty quick.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that is just luck, as I was starting to look around and search on things. I think I just put the right kind of keywords or mentions, like high meat or something like that, enough that Ken Berry came up and at the time Joey Schwartz came up and people like that. And so it was just like everyone's talking about carnivore. Ken Berry was talking about the specific like nightshades, not so good. And I think it was one of his videos where he was basically saying, maybe I've been wrong about veggies. Maybe you don't need them and that kind of thing. So yeah, I was convinced. It didn't need much to convince me. I've never been a fan. So
yeah, you were like, oh God, I'm going to weep every night because I can't have vegetables.
Right.
I love that. You found carnivore. It worked for you. Now you're almost at 3 years. Why have you stayed on it? Is it just you feel the best on it? Is it, and what is it for you that makes carnivore the lifestyle that you've chosen to live long term?
There's a few things. The first thing is I feel better, sleep better, more energy. Going carnivore, this wasn't a plan for me, but going carnivore got rid of the arthritis I was experiencing in my left knee. Going carnivore improved some symptoms of some post-stroke symptoms I'd been experiencing, and so all of these things went away. All of these things got better, and so that's the main reason I've stuck with it. I just feel better, feel lighter on my feet. The joints don't creak. It's awesome. The other thing is I'm a pretty lazy person. And as a lazy person, not having to chop vegetables, not needing to shop, not needing to make decisions is really nice. And it just leaves you so much time in the day. You're not constantly thinking, oh, what am I going to eat? Like before I would have been, okay, eating breakfast, getting ready for work, after work. Okay, well, what am I going to have for my snack at 10 o'clock? What am I going to have for lunch? And then once you're having that snack, what am I going to have for lunch? Then once you're eating lunch, it's like, what am I going to have in the afternoon? And it's like you never stop thinking about food. And until you do an eating style like carnivore, you don't understand how much your life is consumed by food and, how much you are consuming, but how much your life's consumed by this and how much better your life becomes when you stop thinking about food all the time.
Yeah, completely. 100%. I mean, I have twin toddlers, so just the fact that I eat twice a day and I don't have to think about food at all the rest of the time, game changer. Total game changer for me. What do you do for work? What's your normal day like?
I'm teaching. So okay. My normal day is I start kind of 12-ish. So it's midday start and work until later in the evenings. It's like 12 to 9. So I just I also talk to a lot of carnivores. So I've kind of got this early morning start, do some talking with carnivores online, and then head off to work.
Yeah. So I mean, your channel, No Carb Life, how did you start that? Because you're already working full time and you're regular job, but then you have this YouTube channel. How did that come to be? How did you start doing carnivore? And then you're like, you know what? I think I need to share what I'm doing.
So, yeah, most people I find kind of tend to start a YouTube channel as a way of accountability. And it's like, I'm going to post my kind of before pictures and my ongoing results and that kind of thing. I didn't have that. My channel, the channel I post on now actually originally started as a channel where I was going to make dad jokes. Didn't work out, like I started this dad joke channel, made one video and went, that's really bad and deleted it. And it just existed. And 4 months into carnivore, I was like feeling so good. I had so many things that had improved, the arthritis going away, just the general feeling of being better. My balance was better. Strength was coming back into my right side, that kind of thing. And I was like, you know what? For like the 30 years following my stroke, for my whole life, people have the media, everyone has just been telling me the wrong thing. They've been pointing me in the direction of the wrong food. And, thinking back to the first time I did low carb, everyone telling me I was doing it wrong. Everyone telling me I was going to kill myself. They were telling me the wrong thing, pointing me in the wrong direction. And I was just like, I want to talk about this and tell people that they need to think about their diet more carefully than what they see on the news or what they read in the newspaper. And so 4 months in, I just decided to start the channel and kind of get the word out there, and realized that when I was talking about carnivore, it was resonating with people, and I was getting a lot of comments. Is that, yeah, that happened to me too. And especially when I talked about the stroke symptom improvements, a lot of people were commenting and saying, yeah, that happened to my wife as well. She had a stroke, went carnivore after she got out of hospital, had massive improvements. And, so it was just like, that was the motivation to keep going.
That's amazing. Yeah, because I've noticed in looking back at your content, it started with just videos where kind of like talking head or like, explaining things, teaching. And then now it's evolved into mostly interviews. So like, how did that first start? Like, how did you go from your carnivore videos and then you start talking to other carnivores, or did you do an interview with somebody and you were just like, this is kind of what I want to do?
It was kind of a confluence of a lot of things. Like one of the things that I started focusing on once there was a lot of people coming to my channel and commenting and stuff was getting on live streams with people. And I thought that's a good way to get involved in the carnivore community. And getting it, I realized I kind of liked the interactions with other carnivores when I was doing the live streams, and thought it'd be really cool to talk to more people. And then I had a few people volunteer to come on, and talking to them was really fun. And the reaction I got again was really good. And so it just kind of built momentum from there.
Nice. And how many interviews do you do a week?
Anywhere between 15 and 30, I think.
Do you sleep?
Not much, but I've never been much of a sleeper. But now I actually have energy, even though I haven't slept very much. Whereas, 3 years ago, I wouldn't have had energy.
Right. I have also, there's, I don't know if it's anecdotal or not, or if it's based on research, that going keto or carnivore, a lot of people report that they need less sleep, but they feel rested with less sleep. I don't know if that's been your experience.
Definitely. And that was, for me, whether it's carnivore, keto, low carb, that's always the first thing I've experienced over the years when I've tried starting something like this, is like almost instantly after a full day, my sleep has improved straight away. And it's almost like your body is like, finally, I can focus on what I'm meant to be doing while you've got your eyes closed, rather than detoxing all this garbage you've been pumping into me all day. It's
wild. I've experienced the same thing too. Yeah. I used to be, I I used to be such an insomniac. When I was younger, I did a lot of drugs. I drank a lot of alcohol, and I was a party animal. We were up all night. Now I'm like, God, if I could go to bed at 8 p.m. and sleep until like 5, that's like heaven to me. Hashtag, getting older, I guess.
Right.
I am happy to announce that my new book, Complete Carnivore, is now available for pre-order. Complete Carnivore is an in-depth guide to the carnivore diet along with 80+ carnivore recipes. And they're not just like cooking meat recipes. There's recipes for carnivores at any stage of their journey, and it definitely helps you mix it up a little bit if you're getting bored on the carnivore diet. When I was writing this book, I was really aiming to make this like the encyclopedia of the carnivore diet, and I am super excited for you to read it. Pre-sales are a huge deal for any first-time author, so if you'd like to show your support for me in any way, please consider pre-ordering this book. I will put the links in the show notes. Amazon and Barnes & Noble both have really good pre-order deals, where you will get the lowest price the book ever was from the time that you pre-order it to the time it's released. So let's say, for example, Amazon has a flash sale on my book, and you've already pre-ordered it, but then it goes down in price to like $20. Well, on release day, you will pay that $20 lowest price because you had already pre-ordered the book. Also, the book typically ships on release day, so you get it right away. Let's get this book onto every bookstore shelf in America and share the healing power of the carnivore diet with the world. Pre-order links are in the show notes, and I thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. You mentioned your stroke. What's that all about? What happened with that?
So when I was 17, I had a subarachnoid hemorrhage, which is an aneurysm on an artery in my brain just burst. I don't know how long it had been there, but it just like started off as a weakening in the artery and then just got gradually bigger and bigger and bigger, like a blowout in a tire, until it can't get bigger anymore. And so it just popped. And it happened to pop while I was asleep. So good and bad in that. The bad is that, I wasn't aware of it happening. So had some other things not happened, I would have died in my sleep. But the good thing is I didn't experience the thunderclap headache that comes with hemorrhaged brain aneurysm. But because my blood was apparently a little bit thicker than the normal, it clotted very quickly. And so that stopped the blood rushing into my brain. So I actually woke up and went, feel like I've got a virus, and then just went about my normal day and went to work and all that kind of thing. But within about an hour, within the time it took me to travel to work and get to the office and start moving around the office, I realized, oh no, there's something wrong here. And so I turned back and went home. But yeah, it was pretty bad. And by the time I got home, I'd lost control of the right-hand side of my body.
Wow. So you went to the hospital, obviously.
Yeah. And then they told me the wrong thing. And so it's like, you've got gastroenteritis. This side of my body's not working. This side of my face is drooping down. Just Panadol, go to bed, rest, fluids, you'll be fine. And so obviously that wasn't the thing. And by that evening, I'm just getting worse and worse and worse. So I went to see another doctor, and he just looked at me and said, you need to go to the hospital. There's something wrong with your brain.
And then scans. And how long were you in the hospital after they, got the right diagnosis?
So like I had CTs that evening, or that it was late at night. And then in the morning they came in and said, there's an aneurysm there. And then it was just a process over time of more MRIs and all this kind of thing. And because mine had clotted, it wasn't seen as an emergency. So I was in hospital for, I don't remember, 30 odd years ago, so I don't remember the exact timeline, but it was a couple of months and before they did anything. And then they did an they opened my head up to do an operation. They were going to clip the aneurysm. And they opened my head up and went, oh, it's a bit far away. We can't reach it. And so they closed me up again without doing anything. So I had months of recovery after that, because they'd opened me up. And this was 1992. There was no internet, right? So it was like, well, doctor, what can we do? And he's like, I don't know. I'll have a look around and see if there's something we can do. So he had to go in this process of research, and then he found out that there was an operation that was still under research, and wasn't federally funded at that point that I could have. And, so I'm like, well, it's that, or I just wait for the, to break again. And so they flew me across the country to have this operation that was still under research, had to sign a consent to be a research subject form. And, this one was not invasive like the other one would have been. They just put a catheter, through all my arteries right up through into my brain and passed platinum coils into the aneurysm, and it's done.
Wow. And so then, since then, nothing else. You'd have like checkups or anything to make sure, or it's just been good?
I've occasionally had checkups over the year. I've had one recently, actually, and it all looks good. Yeah.
That's great. Now, you had mentioned you had right side deficits. What were those?
Well, I mean, I still have them. Like, you can see I've got a droopier eye on this side. And like, I've had weakness down my right side. My reaction time is slower on my right. So like, I live in Japan, so there's like, everyone's on a bicycle in Japan, right? So if I'm walking across the road and a bicycle cuts me off on my left-hand side, I'll react to that, and my hand almost comes out instantly, like to have distance between me and the bicycle. But if someone like brushed past me on a bicycle on my right-hand side, I probably wouldn't notice until it was too late. So reaction time's slower, my balance is not as good, that kind of thing. But that started to improve noticeably once I started doing carnivore. And I guess it's because the myelin sheath is able to repair a little bit better because I'm taking a lot more saturated fat. And so it's always, my right side's always going to be weaker, but it's not as bad as it was. My balance is better, definitely. And yeah.
That's amazing. That's so cool. Well, I'm glad that you're still here with us.
Yes.
Yeah, that's scary though. So your plans with carnivore, obviously planning to stay carnivore for the long term moving forward?
Yeah. There's no going back. And like, this sounds basically the same answer as most people give me on my channel. It's like, there's no reason to want to go back, because you know what's waiting for you on the other side, because you've lived it most of your life, right? It's like, yeah, I don't miss the lack of sleep. I don't miss the low energy. Definitely don't miss the hangovers. That's another thing. When I look at people drinking now, and I just think, I don't know how I did that. Like,
Same.
Because it's all fun and games when you're just standing there and you're talking and you've got a drink in your hand or whatever. But it's like those mornings, it was awful.
Yeah, completely. I mean, gosh, if I even tried to drink like I used to in my 20s, I think I would die.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I'm a completely different person than that person was. I can't even imagine living that way anymore. When you were talking about going keto, then going carnivore, have you ever tried to reincorporate plants during this 3-year period that you've been carnivore?
Yeah. And that lasted all of 2 minutes.
Really?
The pain in my knee came back, like not fully, but it started to get twinges. And I was like, okay. Yeah,
Wow, what
we
did
need
you
to stay
eat?
away from this. That was bok choy.
That's wild. Yeah, I've had a similar experience. I do a keto cheat meal once a month just because I actually do like vegetables. I'm a weirdo. But the vegetables don't give me an issue. It's when I have a high sugar or grain-based cheat meal, which I do not do often, my left knee starts to hurt almost immediately. And I can walk and move and whatever, but like I couldn't do my normal workouts. That's why I avoid those, because it's crazy how fast it comes back. Why do you think that happens? Why is it so quick for some people? The return to pain and inflammation and things like that.
I think the main reason is what happens is you've eliminated so much from your diet that when you are reincorporating something, you are now super sensitive to a change. Like it's like, I can't think of a good analogy at the moment, but like in business, if you have a problem, you just try and eliminate everything that could be causing that problem, take it back to the most simple form of doing something that you can, and then you reincorporate all the processes to find out when it starts to break again. And that's basically what we've done, right? We've eliminated everything. We've got rid of the problems, and then we are reincorporating one thing at a time and doing this testing and because we're so sensitive now to the changes in our body, it's just like, okay, well, I've reincorporated something. Oh, I know that's not working.
Yeah, totally. You know, that's one of the main critiques I get on carnivore is like, well, it's so restrictive, and then you bring stuff in, and then you can't handle it anymore. What can you eat? Blah blah blah. What do you say to that?
Oh yeah. There's that one. It's so restrictive. Well, actually, pain's much more restrictive. Struggling to get out of bed in the morning and start just so that you can get dressed for work. That's restrictive, But yeah, and the other argument is, oh yeah, you're doing okay now, but once you go back to eating normally, then you're going to have problems again. And it's like, yeah, but that's why I'm not going to go back there. Like if you broke your leg getting hit by a car because you were standing in the highway, no one's going to say to you, yeah, well, your leg's fixed now, but next time you go in the middle of the highway, it's going to happen again. It's like, yeah, well, I learnt my lesson the first time.
Yeah. No, you're online, so you get lots of fun comments, I'm sure, on your YouTube channel. Do you get negative ones often?
Not as often as I used to. I think, I don't know what's happened, but yeah, the first year, I tended to get more. And I don't know if that's because I spend more time interviewing now. And so it's like two people saying the same thing, or I don't know. But yeah, it used to be pretty bad. Like, but the comments were all along the lines of, yeah, you're saying you feel good now, but when you eat normally, that's going to change and all this kind of thing, and it's just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I always get, you're going to die of heart disease. You're clogging your arteries. Lots of LDL cholesterol stuff. Tons of poop related questions or just weird comments. Like, really? Is this what you do in your spare time? You just comment on random people's internet? It's so weird.
Yeah, I put that all down to when people are commenting like that. It's just like, I always think it's their problem. They have an issue. They're not happy about something, so it's a little way of lashing out.
Yeah, totally. I don't know. Internet trolls. It's just I don't have time to even put positive comments on a lot of people's stuff, let alone taking the amount of time to really think of these clever and horrible, mean comments. Like, why? What's going on? Yeah, it's most definitely something going on with them.
Yeah. And the thing is, if I was to, let's say I was on Facebook and I saw someone post something and I feel like, oh, I want to comment and say something in the opposite direction to that, I'd also be thinking, why am I going to do this? Because then I'll just make myself angry, like typing it out. And then I'll be focused so much on saying who replied to it, what did they say, and all that kind of thing. I'll spend the whole day thinking about it, ruminating about this thing. And it's like, why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah. What's the point? What is the point? Completely. I think an air fryer is a required kitchen tool for anybody following a carnivore diet or a low-carb way of eating. The air fryer that I have in my kitchen is the Tasty. Tasty air fryer is a game changer. Not only does it go much higher in temperature than any other air fryer on the market, going up to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, but it also has a built-in temperature probe, so you can get your meat cooked to the exact temperature you want every single time. Its sleek design is beautiful on your countertop, and it's also really easy to clean. Tasty just upgraded their basket to have a ceramic coating that is, as always, BPA and PFOA free. So you can rest easy knowing that you're not putting tons of toxic chemicals into your food when you are cooking it. Right now, you can save $30 on your new Tasty air fryer by heading over to tasty.net/Jenny Mitich and using code Jenny30 at checkout. Link and code is in the show notes. You mentioned earlier that you live in Japan. So can you tell me a little bit about how you ended up there and how long you lived there?
Sure. So in 2 days will be my 19-year anniversary.
Wow.
So been in 19 years. And I traveled a lot when I was younger. I was very lucky, and I got a job when I was about 18 or 19 years old, where I had to go and work in different countries and set up offices for the company I was working for. And so that took me like to Hong Kong and the UK and South Africa, the US, that kind of thing. And that was great. But I kind of got a bit bored of that after a while, and like I couldn't settle down. And so I left that company. But then when I moved back to Australia after leaving that company, very quickly I realized, I'm not sure I like this suburban life either anymore. This constant not doing any traveling at all, like I've got the mortgage. I'm kind of commuting 2 hours a day, that kind of thing. And I'm like, I'm not sure I like this either. So I wanted to just have a change. And, what bigger change is there to go to a country like Japan? So, yeah. And, when I first moved here, it was like real culture shock, because everything's different, like everything, even logic is different here. And so it was very weird, but it's very easy to live here. And I got used to it very quickly. And I'm like, this is kind of cool. And at the time, being a drinker, they've got beer and vending machines here. So that was pretty good when I moved here to help me ease into it. And yeah, just, I feel like a tourist going back to Australia now. So
I bet. Well, gosh, you've been there for almost 20 years. That's insane. My husband used to work at Mitsubishi, and he made many, many, many trips to Japan in his younger years, but we have yet to make it back. But we're going to, so I'll have to hit you up when we go. You can show us some of the fun restaurants.
That'd be awesome.
What kind of I know there's a lot of seafood. There's a lot of really good food in Japan. I love Japanese food. What are some unique carnivore foods that you've been able to find in Japan?
Well, of course, like you could go the sashimi route. But I guess I'm not, as I mentioned before, I'm a bit lazy. So I'm not very adventurous when it comes to food either. So, but the good thing about being in Japan is there are a lot of meat-only restaurants here. And so you can go to a Korean barbecue restaurant in Japan. They're called yakiniku, and which literally means grilled beef. So you can go to one of those restaurants and just eat meat all night, and it's pretty easy here when you go to regular restaurants. Like if you're just eating a steak, most places can accommodate that. And also, you don't feel weird because as a foreigner, you're kind of looked at as weird here anyway. So it's just like, if I'm ordering, a little bit different food to everyone else, I mean, they're still going to think I'm weird anyway. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. That's great. So I was stalking your channel a little bit in anticipation of our interview, and I wanted to hear a little bit more about this Carnivore Live Melbourne that's coming up. Could you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So we've got a meeting or a conference in Melbourne, April 26th, and this is a follow-on from one we did in Adelaide, Australia in November last year. Basically, it's a day of carnivores talking about their experience, and carnivore doctors talking about some of the science behind carnivore and that kind of thing. And we've got people like Professor Bart Kay and Dr. Robert Kiltz coming in, Bella from Steak and Butter Gal. Who else? Bradley Marshall, Natalie West, myself, yeah. And so, yeah, it was, November was really cool. It's so awesome to be in a room of hundreds of carnivores. It's amazing. And like just having that one thing in common with everyone, and that, there's never going to be a point over the day that you're going to get the question, you mean no vegetables? Like not even broccoli? Like everyone. So yeah, it'll be good. So that's April 26th. Yeah.
Awesome. So it's a live event at like a convention center or something you can buy tickets for?
At a hotel. It's, what day is it? It's a Saturday. So, sorry, my days are all messed up, because of my working schedule. It's a Saturday. It's a really nice hotel in a really nice part of Melbourne. It's, Albert Park. That's where they do the Formula One. And, it's, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that looks really, really cool. I wish I could go, but that's a really, really long flight from Chicago.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trip. Yeah.
Bit of a jaunt. Is there a, like a live stream option, or is it just in person?
I think it's just in person. It may change, but the November one was just an in-person one. There wasn't a live stream from that. But, yeah.
Cool. And I'm assuming there's going to be like carnivore foods and stuff to eat.
Yeah. So the Friday night before, there's a carnivore dinner, and then on the day there's a big carnivore lunch, and that was amazing last time. It was really, really nice.
Nice. So I'm going to put a link to that in the show notes so that people can get. Yeah, for sure. I would love to go if I was able to. I haven't made it to Australia yet in my travels, but again, that's on the bucket list for sure. For sure. Both Japan and Australia. So anything else coming up in your world with the carnivore interviews or like conferences you're going to or anything like that?
That's it at the moment. And as far as interviews, it's just a matter of, my focus is really on getting as many interviews out there as possible. I've got two reasons for that. One is because I feel like the more variety of interviews that go out there, the better. Because, if you got one or two interviews and it's like, I lost 1 million pounds in 10 minutes and, cured all my diseases and all that kind of thing. Like most people are going to be watching that. It becomes like an Oprah segment in the 90s or something. Like most people are going to be watching that and going, yeah, that's really good, but that's not going to happen for me. I know myself, I want to have a variety of interviews so that like there's some people that are just like, I haven't completely lost all the weight I wanted to, but I just feel better. I'm sleeping better. And it's like, that's going to resonate with some people, so that's going to bring more people in. But also, the other reason that I want to get as many interviews out as I can is it acts as good motivation for people who are on carnivore now So like one of the main feedback points that I've received from people over time is like, this is really good for me and helps me to maintain my kind of commitment to carnivore, just being able to listen to people talking about it, you know?
Yeah, totally. I love the first point that you made, sharing stories from across the spectrum, because there are people that have those like coming to Jesus, like, oh my God, it cured everything. And then there's some people that are like, you know what? Haven't lost any weight, but I'm feeling better. And then everything in between. And everybody's an individual. We have all gotten to the point that we're at in our life through decades and decades of, you know, eating the wrong thing and mistreatment and whatever the heck was going on. And it's going to take more than a month on carnivore to heal. So it's a complete lifestyle shift. And I think that's really important to illustrate for people. Just because it tends to be that the voices that are the loudest, like, oh my God, I've healed completely, they're the ones that kind of get most of the spotlight, when it's more like the more nuanced, slower, shifts and changes that's more common.
Right. And it's like, you know, something that might seem like a small thing to many people is a massive thing, a massive life-changing thing to a few, you know, like it might be, this little pain I had in my finger is gone. So now I'm able to do the intricate work that I wasn't able to do in the past, you know,
or play the piano or something, you know, we don't know. Yeah. It's amazing. So cool. I think I'm so happy I found carnivore. I feel like if I hadn't found it, I would just still be suffering and going through life, and my mental health stuff would be all jacked up still. And I wouldn't be sitting here with you having a wonderful conversation.
Yeah. It's one of those things that you kind of, it's like buying the lottery ticket that has the winning numbers, you know, and you just look back on that and go, I'm so lucky that I just had that moment where I decided to go in and buy the lottery ticket when I don't normally. And I kind of feel that about carnivore. It's like just this confluence of events for a lot of people leads them to the point where they just go, well, I've got nothing to lose. I may as well try it. And it's like you look back on that and think, if that didn't happen and that didn't happen and that didn't happen, I would never have got here.
Yeah. I mean, that's your exact story. You kind of stumbled upon it, and now look at you. It's amazing. Finishing up with all the carnivores that I interview, I always like to end with some rapid fire carnivore questions. Would you be down for that?
Sure.
They're nothing crazy. Well, maybe a little. You'll see. Okay. So the first question, what is your number one tip for a new carnivore?
Take one day at a time, because usually when you project out to the long term, that's when you start doubting yourself and thinking, oh, no, I'm not going to be able to do this. I can't do it. It's like if you're saving for a holiday, you know, if you project out, like, am I still going to be able to save money in a year's time without buying some junk? You know, you give up.
All right. What is your favorite carnivore food?
Steak.
Do you have a particular cut that you enjoy most?
Actually, yeah, it's actually a lower fatty one, but yeah, I feel it. I'm not sure what that's called in America. The names are quite different, but it's a lower fat one, but it's just nice for a quick kind of energy boost.
Nice. Love it. Mine is a ribeye. I could eat ribeye every single day for the rest of my life. If you were stuck on a desert island, what 3 things would you bring with you? And it doesn't have to be necessarily carnivore. It can be any 3 things.
On a desert island. A John Grisham book, because I'm assuming there's no internet connectivity there, so I can't send my iPhone or something, right? So I John Grisham book, water, and
I know this one's a hard one.
I'm going to go a pen, so I can write in the book. Yeah,
I love it. So you're going to be very hydrated and well-read.
Yes.
Okay. What is the most common mistake that new carnivores make?
Most common mistake would be, I think, looking for, I haven't it hasn't happened for me yet. I've been on it a week and it hasn't happened. I'm done. Just opting out too early because, as you said before, we've been doing this damage to ourselves for years. It's not necessarily everything's not going to get fixed in a week or 2 weeks,
Yeah. And I also think some things will never be fixed. It depends on the damage, but hopefully there can be some improvements too. All right. Next question. I've encountered a weight loss stall on Carnivore. What would your advice be to get the scale moving in the right direction again?
I might try fasting. I might try adding more fat in. A lot of people have a problem where they're actually not eating enough fat, and that can contribute to it. They're not eating enough fat, they're eating more protein, and that could be keeping the weight on, something like that. But the great thing is you can test.
Yeah. How so?
Well, just because you've eliminated so many things, right? So when you do change something, like you do a fast or maybe, you go from 2 meals to 1 meal a day or vice versa, you get pretty quick feedback from your body about what's changing. Very
true. Do you have any particular type of fasting that you like? Water fasting, sardines, protein sparing modified, dry?
Just intermittent as far as, I do 1 meal a day. So, I have breakfast and then typically don't eat again until the next day.
Okay, great. Knowing what you know now, what would you do differently if you were starting the carnivore diet today?
That's a good question. I would write everything down. So, and I would say, this is how I feel when I wake up. This is how I feel while I'm traveling to work. This is how I feel at the end of the day. I just write everything down because you notice things when you start feeling better. But when you feel better for a long time, that becomes the new normal. And once it's normal, it's very easy to forget how bad it was. And just having it written down can be good motivation for you. If you ever have a moment where it's like, I'm just going to have the donut or whatever, it's a good motivation to look back and go, oh, look how bad it was. I spring out of bed now. It took me 3 hours to get out of bed before, that kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I think that's just human nature to forget how painful things can be pretty quickly too. Pretty darn quick. I mean, if we all remembered pain, no one would be having children.
Right. I guess it's a survival mechanism, but yeah, it works against us sometimes.
Yeah, that's a really great tip. I do think that that's important to kind of keep a journal or a note on your phone or whatever of just the littlest tiny improvements, because also going through your day, you've got a million other things going on your plate. You might forget what you had thought of in the moment. And then at the end of the day, you can look back and be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And that really helps with motivation, like you said.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Final question. If you were able to go back and give one piece of advice to your 20-year-old self, what would that be?
Stop taking life so seriously, I guess. You're not going to get out alive. So don't worry about it. I feel like that's probably good advice for most 20-year-olds to get. But stop taking life so seriously, and you're going to mess up a lot, and that's part of life. You don't have to be serious, and everything doesn't have to be perfect first time, because it can't be.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Dave, this was awesome. I feel like I know you better, which is exactly why I wanted to have you on, because you're such an interesting person. So thank you for, hanging out with me. And hopefully, when I make it over to Japan, we'll be able to go get some yummy carnivore foods together.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks very much for having me on, Jenny. Really appreciate it.